Hello, everyone. Welcome to session 3 on how to find the perfect clients. So, how do you actually find clients? We went through the theoretical stuff in session 1. What are your principles? What's the right audience? What are the type of clients you want? Last session, we went into the practical aspects of building a website, building a social network, building a funnel system so that clients can come to you. But how do you actually engage them, bring them to your site, sign up for your consulting services, and get them to pay? How do you do this by avoiding ineffective methods of sending out thousands of emails to everyone on the planet and hoping that maybe 1% will respond? Well, we're not going to bother with ineffective methods like that. We're going to find the most effective ways to find clients that will be very interested in your service. In this module, we'll talk about the specific steps to find the perfect clients, how to reach them, and attract them as easily as possible. Instead of name dropping or relying on endorsements, we'll learn how to catch clients by providing them with value and keep them coming back. The foundational principle of everything we're going to be discussing is providing them value. This is a theme we're going to come back to over and over and over again. We mentioned this in the last session with the 1 in 20 rule. That is, for every 20 pieces of value you provide your audience in the form of LinkedIn posts or tweets, you have one pitch. So if you provide lots of free value to people, that's how you can engage them the best. How do you make connections with influencers in your area? By providing value to them. How do you get potential clients interested in your services? By providing them value by offering them a free session. Providing value, the reason this is such an important concept is because in 21st century marketing, this is the best way that you can stand out. In the 20th century, 2 or 3 decades ago even, information was expensive to produce. If you wanted to create a pamphlet to send to people, that cost money, and a book costs a lot of money. So it was valuable to send somebody a brochure in the mail offering your services. But in the 21st century, undifferentiated photocopied information is very cheap. You can make a digital brochure in the form of a website, but it won't stand out because there are millions of other websites in the same space that could be just as good or even better than yours. So how do you stand out? Well, you stand out by providing pure value to future clients. You provide value that is unique to them as a person that they literally cannot get anywhere else. This is how you stand out in the midst of millions of other websites and other people vying for their services. You really can't provide too much value to people. Give away some of your best stuff for free and provide stuff for free that others charge money for. Well, you might think, if I do that, what's the line between giving people value to lure them in versus they'll get so much out of me that they won't want to buy anything from me because they already got what they needed? Well, think about it this way. When people see that you're providing them great value for free, they will want your consulting services because they assume that if your free stuff is this good, then your paid stuff must be orders of magnitude better. Here's an example of this. This is the website of Pat Flynn of Smart Passive Income. He hosts a podcast and a blog about creating a website and creating passive income streams and creating an online business. This is a really great website. Pat doesn't charge for any of his stuff. His podcasts and blog posts are enormously valuable, but he doesn't actually have a product. Despite that, he makes close to $100,000 a month. Well, how does he do that? Mostly through affiliate income. He'll refer another product or service, and through him selling it, he'll get a small commission. Well, he's built up such a loyal following and such goodwill amongst his fans that many people will go out of their way to buy through his affiliate networks just so he can get some income. So providing great content to people and not even having a product, he's created a thriving business for himself. So how do you provide value to people that will make them want to become your clients? We're going to get all into that through a step-by-step approach. Some of the resources used in this session that you can follow up on if you want more detail are 2 books. One is Never Chase Clients Again by Michael Moshiri. The other is Book Yourself Solid by Michael Port. These books are very good, and I recommend following up on them, but One problem with them is they don't provide specific actionable steps about getting clients. They'll say things like, provide a free session to clients, but they don't say how. I mean, do you give them a free phone call? Do you talk to them on Skype? If so, how do you set that up? Do you put your phone number on your website? Well, we're going to get into the concepts, but also the specific actionable steps right here. Here's exactly what we're going to cover in this session. We'll talk about how to price your services and also how to choose them, how to find someone to network on your behalf that will be probably your best resource in getting your first clients, and then also other ways to find and win clients. So let's start out here. When we ask the question, what services do you offer? We're talking about being a consultant, but what does that mean? What are you actually giving to people? What are you selling to people? As a consultant, typically you are offering your problem-solving abilities. You promise that you will help your clients with a problem, and in a certain amount of time, you will give them a solution to that problem. So remember, a client hires a consultant not just because they like consulting in and of itself, no one really gets consultants for that reason, but because they have a problem and they want the knowledge of somebody who is able to solve that problem. You are the person who can solve that problem for them. This takes on a few different forms. One of the most common forms, and a form we'll see in the examples I'm about to give you, is that you talk with a person for 1 or 2 hours and you go through their specific problems and provide a solution to them. Then after a session is over, you might give them a PDF or a guide that gives some bullet points about what steps they should take forward to execute those things that you talked about with them. Another thing you can do is, if they need help with documentation, maybe you provide an editing service, dissertation editing, whatever type of editing. You edit documents for them and you charge by page or you charge by word count. A third form of consulting is you provide an action plan for them. Maybe you give them a detailed guide on creating a business plan and you give them economic forecasting. Maybe you provide specific help with foreign cultural issues. So these are the types of things you can produce in your consulting session. Okay, so in the last session, we talked about how to create a web page, and in one of the pages we put up were a services page. This is a critical page because this is the page where you offer your services, obviously. When it comes to your service page, you don't need to go on for paragraphs and paragraphs talking about what your services are. A few sentences will suffice. All you have to do really is have a table with the services you provide, describe how many hours of time you will give to them based on how much they pay you, and how much money each of these services will cost. Let's break this down by looking at a couple of examples. The first is Karen Kelsky's page, The Professor Is In, and her services page is put together very neat and very clean. It's a simple site layout that describes individual services, like coaching and consulting, which you can see there. It's $200 for a 50-minute appointment, $350 for 2 appointments, or $500 for a set of 3 appointments. Notice that you get a discount the more hours you get, which is a good strategy. Other services are a retainer fee for additional consults, job application help, and post-ac webinars. Let's jump to her page right now just so I can give you a little bit better description of what services she offers, because I think she provides a good template and gives great ideas on how you can put together your own services page. So let's take a closer look at that right now. There are just a couple things I want to point out on the Professor Is In's webpage, the services page, because this will help give you an idea about how you can structure your own page, how you can offer your services, and importantly, how much you can charge for them. So we see here post-ac services. You see things like coaching, consulting, $200 for a 50-minute appointment, $350 for 2 appointments, $500 for 3 appointments. Here, retainer fee for continuing email consults, $100 for 4 emails over a 2-month period. You might offer slightly different services, but when it comes to consulting, almost all you're doing is sitting down one-on-one with a person, or one-on-one figuratively speaking over Skype, but you're charging for your time. This is how much you can charge because you're offering very good information that is worth thousands or tens of thousands of dollars to a person. So hundreds of dollars an hour is perfectly reasonable. And typically you offer a discount for longer periods. So there's a $50 discount from 1 to 2 hours, and then there's another $50 discount for 2 to 3 hours. Other services like resume editing, custom resume development, standard cover letter, you see $100, $300, and $100 respectively. So the services aren't just one-on-one talking, but also editing, which is a form of consulting, or producing a custom written package for a person. Karen Kelsky also offers things like preparing documents for a postdoc. So what you can offer for consulting is face-to-face discussion, editing documents, creating documents for a person. Now maybe you're wondering, okay, so I can describe my services, but how do I collect payment from someone? How do I handle that over the internet in a way that's really easy to do? Well, here's how. If you go down and you see something here, you'll see these buttons that say Add to Cart. And if we click on it, it'll take us to a payment page. And on this payment page, we can pay by PayPal or credit card. And up here, you can see it's hosted through something called eJunkie. eJunkie is an online payment system where you can put buttons or shopping carts on your webpage. eJunkie will handle the credit card stuff and it will go to your bank account. So if you go here to ejunkie.com, just create an account. It's $5 per month, and they offer very simple code that you can put buttons on your website that say add to cart, and you can create custom amounts of how much people will pay. So go to ejunkie.com and they'll set you up with payment buttons that you can put on your webpage and collect payments directly right there. Okay, and one other thing I wanted to mention with the Professor Is In, if you notice the pricing, the base level is $200 for a 50-minute consultation. And I should note that most of Karen's clients are PhD students or non-tenured faculty. What that means is, for the most part, they're not rich. They might only be making $20,000 or $30,000 a year, if that. But it's important to note that her clients are not scared off by these costs. Nor do they resent paying it, because Karen has a lifetime supply of positive testimonials of people saying that she gave them their result of getting a job at a college or winning a postdoc or snagging a tenure-track position. The point is that through a few hours that cost $200, $300, $400, her clients were able to get a job that paid $60,000, $80,000 a year, and over a lifetime will be worth hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. So that means that if your service is really valuable, don't be shy about charging the right price for it. This is true even if your audience isn't particularly wealthy, because you're providing them far more value than what they're giving to you. Let's take a look at a second example, and this is scholarshape.com. This is Margie Thomas Horton's website that we looked at in the last section. I want to show you two parts of her services page. Here, this is her layout of the services that she offers in thesis editing. This is a great clean web page that describes in exact detail how much you will pay for her services. You can see on the left side at what stages of editing you need, whether it's in the rough or uneven in quality stage of the dissertation, or it's complete and structurally sound but unpolished, or it's almost ready for submission, and she tells you the services she offers and how much they will cost. Then a little bit further down, you see the pricing that she offers. Notice how she has low and high price points. $55 an hour when purchasing 20 or more hours, $60 an hour when purchasing 6 to 19, $65 when purchasing 1 to 5. So offering things in packages is a good way for people to sign up for a lot more hours of your consulting because they'll get much more out of it. Let's go to her webpage right now and take a closer look at how she sets it up so we can get another idea on how to set up our own services page. I just want to show you a little bit closer how Margie Thomas Horton sets it up, because I think what she does here is really good design. So here we are on the Scholarshape website, and here you can see the table where the services are offered. She breaks it down on what kind of specific editing you need, whether you just want to talk it out or get written feedback for fragmentary. So what she does, it's very important. She gets very specific about what kind of services she's offering and also how much she's charging for each thing. This is important with clients because you want to be clear up front what work you're offering for how much money, because if there's unclear expectations, they might think you're doing a lot more than what you agreed to because you didn't spell it out. So she spells it out. She breaks it down by hour, 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours for $195, $295, and $360. The way she designs this entire table is actually a JPEG. I think the dimensions are 1000 by 1133. And this is great design. I couldn't make this. I don't know anything about design. Whenever I have a graphic design issue, I don't try to mess around on Photoshop for 3 hours. Instead, what I do is I go to a website that I've mentioned before many times called Fiverr.com, where you can get people to do things for you for $5, and graphic design is huge here. I've had entire ebook covers designed for $5, so if ever I have a graphic design need, I come to Fiverr. So let's say we want a professional looking pricing table like on Scholarshape. So I'm going to type in here, make a table, click on Find Services, and we see all sorts of results here. I will design you a professional price table, and you can choose whatever you want. Let's choose this one. As you can see, there's a professional pricing table, not exactly like what Margie has, but you can ask them for a custom job and they'll do it. They can even make it responsive, so it'll plug into your eJunkie account and you are good to go. So that's how you can get a nice pricing table set up on your services website. Okay, so we took a look at 2 different websites and they had their services priced at certain levels. So maybe you're wondering, how do you price your services? How much do you charge for it? How do you get an idea of how to do that? Well, the important thing is you want to make them not too low, but not too high. Even if you are an absolute beginner, you don't want to price your services too low. The bare minimum is $50 an hour. The reason is, first of all, when you charge for 1 hour of work, it's not actually 1 hour of work because you have to prepare to meet with your client. Maybe you have to do some research, and then once you're done, you have some follow-up work of writing a report for them or doing some billing or doing some additional work. So 1 hour of consulting is not actually 1 hour of work for you. The other reason is that you want to charge a certain level because it signals quality to your client. People value things that cost more. They're more likely to finish and they're more likely to follow up on your advice if you charge a right amount versus undercharging. For example, I read a lot of ebooks and some of them I got for free through a promotion. I don't take those ebooks, the free ones, very seriously because I know it didn't cost me anything. But if I have to pay more for something or if I pay a lot of money for a course, I'm much more likely to actually go through it and follow up on it because since it cost me something to gain access to that information, psychologically, I want to feel like I got something out of it and I want to justify my purchases, so I'm much more likely to follow through on the advice. Well, of course, you want your clients to follow through on your advice, so you're actually doing them a favor by putting your services at a good price point. So you want to move up to $100 to $2 an hour and then increase accordingly. Again, offer value packs where there is a discount if they get more than 1 hour because that's useful for you to have a lot of hours with one client. And remember, what you're charging them for, don't think in terms of the hourly wage. Don't think, oh, $50 an hour, that's high. Think in terms of the result that you are giving them. If the information you provide for them truly is valuable, what you're giving to them could be worth $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000. So if you're giving them $10,000 or $20,000 of value and you're charging them $500 to $1,000, that's a great deal. Would I pay $1,000 to get $10,000 back? Yes, I would do that over and over and over again. So that's why you can feel comfortable about charging based on the result you will deliver, not on what seems arbitrarily high for an hourly rate. And also, people understand that you charge a premium for consulting. Sometimes business is going great and you have a lot of clients coming in. Well, you want to charge a high price point because that evens out some of the risk where there can also be flat periods. Maybe there's a dip in the economy where you don't get as many clients and you need to save for the lean years. So save up during the fat years to cover for the lean years. Now, there's one other thing I want to point out. No matter how good your services page is, it's still a leap to ask someone to pay hundreds of dollars an hour for your consulting services. Of course, you can do things to grease the skids. If you're active on social media, you're talking with people, you're providing good value and good content, then you're showing people that you know what you're talking about and you can knock down some of those barriers. If you have great testimonials on your website, then that offers proof that you can help people to succeed, but doubts still can linger in the minds of your potential clients. Well, if there are any lingering reasons for people to use your services, there's a very easy way to help them overcome these doubts. This is a method that nearly all successful consultants use, and if you noticed, this was put on Karen and Margie's websites. Here's what you do. You offer your potential clients a free 20-minute session. Here, you can show off your expertise and prove to them that you can help them overcome their problems, giving them even more value. Then they will trust you. Then they will most likely be willing to purchase your full consulting package. Okay, but how do you set this up? Is this a phone call? Is this online? How do you even do this? Well, let me show you very simply how to set this up right now. This is something that I see a lot of websites do. Margie does on scholarshape.com. Down here, you can see a link that says, schedule a free, no obligation 20-minute initial consultation. Back here on the Professor is In, you see the same thing. Free initial 20-minute phone or Skype consultation. I do the exact same thing on my website, and I've done it. It's great. It helps people connect with you and understand that your information is quality. So I just want to show you real quick how to set that up on your website. If we were to click Margie's link about the 20-minute Skype consultation, we will be taken to a website with a clickable interactive calendar where we can schedule a session with her. As you can see, you can pick your date and time. If you want to create your own interactive calendar like that, where you can have people schedule a free 20-minute session with you, here's how you do it. First, go to calendly.com. We are going to sign up here with Google, and that's important because Calendly will instantly link with your Google Calendar. So if someone schedules an appointment with you, it will show up on your Google Calendar. So I'm going to click here and link it with one of my Google accounts. Great. After you enter that, then Calendly would like to verify your information. Click on Accept. Okay, so this is your personal site. It's basically your Gmail name, mlarsontr. So I'm going to choose my time zone here. That's where I am in Turkey. We'll skip all this and go to your dashboard. Now we're going to click up here on event types. Then add event type because those don't really match up. One-on-one. Event name, we'll call it Free Consultation with Scott Rank, 20 minutes because that's what we'll put on our site. Description. I'll type something in here right now. Okay, so I typed that in. Now availability, you choose what time you want to do it. So this is 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Maybe I only want to make myself available for 2 hours a day. If my bookings are absolutely full, then I would do free consultations for 2 hours, but maybe I'll only get one every few days or one a day, whatever. So let me just do that real quick. I'll click on Edit. Events start every 20 minutes from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. And I'm going to apply that. We can do that every single day, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Done. If you want to turn some days off, maybe you have a bad case of the Mondays and Monday is not your day. You do not work on Monday. Okay, great. Go out in 60 days. Add event question. I always add a custom question. I say, what is your Skype name? Because I do my consultations on Skype. And you can add whatever questions you want here. I turn off phone number because I'm not going to call them. Save changes. Okay, so this is the link up here, and you're going to copy this link and you're going to hop into your WordPress website. So let's go into WordPress right now. And click Login. And go up here to Pages. Here, we're going to find the service page that we created last week. Services, here we are. Click Edit. Okay, so I already filled this out last week, and if you see the free 20-minute Skype consultation, I describe it here, and then this part here, that's where I want to include my link to my Calendly schedule. So I'll go back to Calendly. Here's the free consultation with Scott. I'm going to copy that, come here to my web page, add the insert link, insert that, add link, update. And if we go back to Publishing for Academics and look on the services page, here we are down here. So free 20-minute Skype. I mean, you can do a lot to clean out this page, like bold these sections. And if I click on it, all right, I will be taken to a page where if I were a customer, I could schedule a free consultation, and that is how you help your first clients get their foot in the door. All right, so we mentioned all these principles of how to price your services, how to provide a free consultation, but when it comes right down to it, how do you find clients? How do you do it? I want to point out some of the wrong ways that people go about finding clients because I've done many of these myself, as have others when they started their business, and it sadly wasted a lot of time. There's a lot of wrong ways to go about trying to find clients, such as only using social media, investing in unproductive means, chasing the wrong clients, not understanding traits of a highly qualified client, or ignoring what clients are looking for. I want to explain why these are problematic so you can understand the wrong way to do it and better appreciate the right way to do it. First, focusing exclusively on internet marketing. I know I talked all about building up your LinkedIn and Twitter profiles in the last session, and those are important tools to get your business going, particularly in the beginning, because they let you connect with professionals and those in your niche, and they help you understand the needs of your market. But they should not be our exclusive focus. Building relationships and secondarily extending the reach of your professional network is a great way to achieve the same result. You want to focus on both digital marketing and analog networking. You can leverage your analog network to extend the reach of your digital network. Now, digital-only business can work for some models. I have a publishing company and I write ebooks and I market them and promote them. That's completely digital. I don't have any type of human interaction with my customers. But my products are ebooks that only cost $2 or $3, so I'm not asking a lot for people to buy them, and they don't have a lot of mental barriers to overcome in buying a cheap ebook. But when it comes to consulting, that is a much higher price item, and that's based much more on one-on-one interactions. That's why personal connections are so important. So an analog network of a few connections that are valuable can be much more powerful than 20 or even 50,000 connections on Twitter or LinkedIn. Consulting will always be based on analog relationships because that's what it is. The second mistake is investing in unproductive means of finding clients. So content marketing can produce unproductive leads that do not help you find future clients. Social media is free, but it can zap away your time, which is your most precious resource. So I'll talk about a system that uses social media, but also uses your personal network to find, attract, and win more consulting clients. The third unproductive thing is chasing the wrong clients. If you take on any client with a budget to pay for your services, you might be forcing yourself to pursue paying clients over the right clients. So the question, especially when you're starting out, is, would you take on a client with a sizable budget, even if your specializations don't align with them? Well, if you say yes, then you're practicing what Michael Mashiri calls beggar consulting. It means that you'll pursue any and all prospective clients with a budget to pay for you. This is something that's hard not to do, especially when you're starting out, because you want that first paying client. But if you'll take anyone, this creates long-term problems. First, it says to your client that you are a disposable commodity provider because you'll do anything for money. Second, you confuse your prospects and clients with your lack of focus. If you'll take anyone, even if they are asking for something that's not really in your wheelhouse, then you're not defining your niche, and people are a little bit confused as to what it is you actually do. If you're providing consulting for economic advice, but someone wants your help for weight loss, well, future clients will think, well, what are they doing? Are they a personal trainer? Are they an economics expert? I don't really know. And this erodes your positioning in your marketplace. So here's the thing, you can't take along any client that comes along. This is hard for people to do in the beginning, to turn down people that have their wallets open. But it's a critical step because when you are talking with a prospective client, you're actually interviewing them as much as they are interviewing you. If not, it can cost you a lot of mental energy and turmoil having to provide services to someone that you don't click with. They might want to micromanage every aspect of your engagement. So this is another problem of not seeking qualified clients. A highly qualified client is not one with a real need that you can serve and they have the budget to pay you. It's not merely about keeping the revenue coming in. If it is, then you aren't building a business that's based on your UMP, your unique motivating purpose. So a consulting business is a partnership, not a McDonald's where you'll just serve anyone that comes in, and the only thing that matters is the financial exchange. So not focusing on the right kind of client can keep you from gaining significant expertise and depth of knowledge on your specialization, and it can also prevent professional growth on your part. So a highly qualified client fits 3 criteria. Your services align with their needs. It's a client fit, which means that you share the same ethics and engagement style. If this person gives you red flags or you generally don't enjoy working with them, then don't take them on. For example, for decades, my mother has done ghostwriting, where she ghostwrites for people who run nonprofits, doctors, who serve people in some of the poorest parts of the country, and also business professionals. Well, there have been cases where she turned down flashy businessmen because she didn't like what they were about. They were too self-promotional. They really didn't have an ethical core to what it was she was doing. She didn't like their philosophy, so she thought, well, no, these are my principles, so I'm just not going to take this person on, even though they would pay a very good amount for my services. The third factor of a qualified client is timing. If their needs are urgent and they need them fulfilled in, let's say, 90 days, then you can get more focus from your consulting sessions. Okay, and the 5th criteria of a client mismatch are ignoring what clients are looking for. Pay attention to what your clients want and adjust your approach and services over time. I'm not saying that you're compromising your values here. I'm saying that you're calibrating your message. You're using different words and phrases and approaches to express your core values. So pay attention to what your clients find valuable. If your clients like people who appear authentic and sincere and maintain a friendly approach rather than an aloof demeanor, then focus on that. So do they like you to give lots of examples from your experience? If they really need practical steps, then give them that. So understanding how to win clients is as important as understanding why we lose them. Now let's look on the practical aspects of how to go and find these right clients. There are 4 good ways. These 4 ways are your personal network, and online marketing, then community education, and finally, catalysts. What are catalysts? It sounds like something from chemistry. Well, it is, but we're not going to get into chemistry here. We're going to talk about a very specific type of person that will help you grow your network, and I'll explain what that is in a moment. First, how do you use your personal network to find clients? This is the best place to start because people in your personal network, your friends and your family, have a vested interest in your success in a way that strangers just don't. So here's all you do. It only takes one simple step to start your consulting business. You send an email to your inner circle of friends, family, and colleagues and say, I have a business. You just say, this is a consulting business I started. Here is my website. Here's a free consultation session link. If you would like to learn more, contact me. If this isn't for you, but you know someone who could use these services, send them an email. That'd be great. So it's much better to email personal connections first than to try to contact strangers online or through social networks. The reason is a friend or personal acquaintance might not buy your services, but they will likely refer you to someone who is in need of them. I've heard countless stories from consultants who say that their first client came from their mother-in-law or their coworker mentioning to someone else the services they provide. For example, with my publishing consulting business, my friend knew that I had a publishing consulting business, and he mentioned this to someone in need of such services. So lo and behold, my friend introduced the 2 of us by email. I offered him a free consultation session, and I told him what I would do, and then he signed the contract, and we were in business. So do you think my friend would have referenced my services to this guy if he didn't know who I was? If I were just an anonymous person who contacted him online? Probably not. Included with the course notes of this session is an email template on what to say with your personal connections when you're announcing your business. The second thing is your online community. I know I said a second ago that you shouldn't focus on this exclusively, but there is still a lot of value to be had by engaging people in your online community. On Twitter, on LinkedIn, whatever platform is valuable to you. So what you do is you keep following the 1 in 20 rule. You send 20 pieces of valuable information for every 1 piece of pitching to them. Here's what you do with that 1 piece of pitching. You say to them, hi everyone, I am now offering a consulting package. Check out my services here and get a free 20-minute session. Then you just include a link. That's it. For Twitter, that's fine. You only have 140 characters on Twitter anyway, so just say, I'm now offering free consulting sessions. Here's a link. That's it. That's all you have to do. You can do a little bit more on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is mostly filled with people who are trying to network or maybe looking for a job. So you can be more salesy on LinkedIn than you can on Twitter, and that's fine. I've pitched to people on LinkedIn. I've been pitched to by people on LinkedIn, and that just comes with the terrain. Let's say you have someone in your network that could be a good prospective client and you want to pitch your services to them. What do you say on LinkedIn? Well, here, you could say this. Hi, Melissa. The article you shared on LinkedIn yesterday addresses a challenge I've heard 2 sales directors mention this week. Your unique perspective would be beneficial for them to hear. We help sales execs improve their rep success with a similar approach. Do you have 20 minutes to speak on a Wednesday or Thursday afternoon this week? So all you do is just acknowledge something that they might have posted and say that I offer a service that helps people do exactly what you mentioned. Would you like to have a free consultation? And then again, you just give them a link to your free 20-minute consultation page, and there you go. That's a very simple way to follow up with people on LinkedIn. The third place you can go to find your first clients are community education centers. What are these? Community education is courses offered at a university or a community center that are open to the public, where you can learn a new hobby or a skill or vocational training. These can be all sorts of different things and include public speaking courses, accounting courses, or time management courses. But here, community education centers accept instructors and they let them come up with their own curricula that they can give to students. At a community education center, you can offer to teach a course that is related to your consulting business. When I first heard about these, I imagined a bunch of office drones who get together on the weekends to practice improv comedy, and there is, some of that. But I discovered that community education is a fantastic way to get started as a consultant. This is particularly true if you have a university background or were ever a university instructor, because community education courses love to have university instructors there, since they know that you're capable of putting together a curriculum and teaching in an organized, engaging way. The person that really woke me up to these possibilities is Eric Walker. He was a guest on my Scholarpreneur podcast. Eric is an adjunct instructor of arts and humanities at Rock Valley College in Rockford, Illinois. He's also a nonprofit founder and a life coach. Eric started teaching at community education courses a few years ago because they were offered in his college. They were actually offered in the exact same classrooms during the evening where he taught during the day as an adjunct. So he discovered that community education allowed him to create additional income through creating original classes. But amongst these students, he also started to find clients for coaching who wanted more hands-on help from him. He led a class where he was able to present his material. Then from those people, they wanted to follow up with him, and he found a great crop of clients right there. By teaching at these places, it's led to public speaking opportunities for Eric. He's been invited to speak at conferences, and most of all, it's opened up a whole new avenue for online business. One thing he's done is record his sessions at the Community Education Center and create an online course based off of that. So figure out what academic skills you have and think about what a vocational application is. Maybe you have a degree in English and you could offer a course on writing copy or editing. So next, teach that vocational skill in a community education program that could be hosted in your university, and you can even record that class and make an online seminar. But anyway, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. The point being that community education centers are a great place to find clients. Now we're going to get into the fourth thing, and I think this is by far the most effective way to find highly qualified clients, and that is catalysts, which are your consulting booster rocket. Here's how you find good clients. To boost your consulting business, you don't just build a fancy website or chase leads on Facebook. You also don't just ineffectively chase down clients or try to cold email or cold call everyone on the planet. And you don't use ineffective or wasteful means of lead generation or networking. What you do is you need to find a catalyst. What is a catalyst? A catalyst is an individual who will facilitate access to others without personally participating in the introduction process. They will facilitate your access to excellent clients who will help get your business off the ground. He or she possesses the right qualifications, characteristics, and knowledge to help you identify and connect with highly qualified prospective clients. And they do so in ways that elevate you above your competition. A catalyst is a leader in your field that helps you get started by helping you network. They're kind of like your Willy Wonka that's leading you through the chocolate factory. Or to borrow the examples of the Divine Comedy, they're your Virgil that leads you through hell, or your Beatrice that leads you through purgatory. So everyone who does well in business says that they had a mentor or a coach that helped them get started. And a catalyst is like your mentor. I've had different catalysts at different stages in my career. One example, before I entered academia, I worked as a journalist here in Turkey. When I first showed up, I didn't know anybody. But through a friend referral, I met an editor who had lived here for 30 years. Her name was Barb Baker. Barb helped me a ton when I first got started. When I wanted to connect with a politician or another journalist at a news agency or a religious leader, if I were trying to find that person on my own, I would try to call a press secretary and they'd probably hang up because I didn't know who I was. But Barb had the personal number of all of these different people, and with one phone call, I could get access to somebody. So through Barb, I could get access and I could build up my connections network in a few months that if I had been working on my own would have taken years. So that's an example of a catalyst. This is what Michael Mashiri calls the client catalyst system, of how you use a catalyst to boost your consulting business. When you're looking for your own catalyst, you have to consider the criteria of a good catalyst. A catalyst is more than a referral. A referral will just get you in the door with a client, but a catalyst provides you so much more than that. A good catalyst has connections. It means that they are able to help you connect with highly qualified prospective clients. They have levers. They have insights about the core values and beliefs of your prospective clients. They have intelligence, which means non-public information about the prospective client that's usually limited to individuals who are personally familiar with them. They have evaluations. They provide you with feedback and evaluate your approach. They have name recognition, meaning they are highly regarded within your community. They're the perfect door opener. Maybe they've been quoted in an article of a publication that is popular in your niche, like Chronicle of Higher Education. Maybe they are a popular blogger or resource. Maybe they have authored useful articles and books in your niche. Maybe they've delivered keynote speeches, lectures, or training programs. Maybe you see in your social media channels they're a very important influencer. Lastly, they have timing input. They help you plan the timing of your initial contact with your prospective client in order to coincide with when they may benefit most from your services. So your catalyst knows when your client will need your services and will advise you on when to make your pitch. So how do you find catalysts? You can find them in professional circles, like I said earlier, your social media groups, professional associations. You're probably part of them. That's a lot of the academic experience where you have professional associations and you receive journals. Or they are leaders and keynote speakers at events, meetings, and conferences. So once you have identified a potential pool of catalysts that can provide you with the value that I mentioned earlier, you need to make a list of 3 to 4 catalysts that you believe would jumpstart your career. You might not be able to get the help of one of these people, and if you can't, you can move on to the next person. Okay, so how do you engage your catalyst? You just go up to them and say, "Hi, I am a no-name person in this area. I want you to help me, and I want you to provide me with all of your connections for free without me giving you anything." No, you do not do that. Catalysts are in-demand professionals. If they're not, then they're probably not a good catalyst. So their time means something. You need to differentiate yourself from other people in order to make a connection. In order to do that, maybe you could have a friend introduce you to them as an interim, or even someone that you met on LinkedIn who appears close to this person that can provide a reference. You can mention this person when you first approach the catalyst. But what do you say to the catalyst when you first approach them? What you do is, again, like I mentioned at the top of this session, you provide value. When you want something from someone else, not only should you be polite, you should give them something they value in exchange. Many people commit a cardinal sin when they first approach someone of influence. They demand a lot of upfront help, maybe reading or editing whatever it is they have. They demand free advice. They demand them to open up their network of contacts. They don't offer anything in return, but they don't even acknowledge that you're really putting out your potential catalyst. You need to provide value. You need to provide value that is personal to them. It's not generic and only applies to the recipient. You need to provide value that is unexpected. It's something that goes above and beyond what most people would give to them. It needs to be relevant, meaning that it fits their needs perfectly. And you need to over-deliver. It needs to have over-delivery. It goes above and beyond what the recipient expected to receive. So there's a lot of things that you can do to get the attention of your catalyst. Can you take an action that brings your background or professional experience to bear on an issue or goal that they are concerned with? Maybe you can provide them with tips or strategies to improve or succeed in their business. You could provide them with gifts of knowledge, such as books. You could provide them with news or intelligence about their competition. You could provide them with leads that would help them get more customers or clients. Many of these things, this value that you're giving to your catalyst, are things that your catalyst rarely receives for free. I want to give you an example of how I did this. On the left there, you see Dora Farkash. I mentioned her in the last session. She runs the business Finish Your Thesis, and she provides thesis consulting services. Dora was one of the first people I reached out to when I started the Scholarpreneur. I had her on the podcast, and I was already providing her value by doing that because I was exposing her to my viewers, to my listeners. And after I was done with the interview with Dora, I talked with her about my PhD experiences and what it was like for me to finish my dissertation and how I was really plodding along until toward the end I developed a system that helped me get writing a lot faster. Before I could barely write a few sentences a day. And then after I developed my own system, I was able to produce about 500 to 1,000 words a day. And then Dora said to me, "Wow, that's really interesting. Tell you what, I'm going to host a webinar for my students, for my clients. Could you put together a presentation that's about an hour long about how you finish your dissertation?" And I said, "Sure." So I put together an hour-long presentation called How to Finish Your Thesis in 6 Months, even if you have no idea what to write. It took a lot of work to put together. I spent a lot of time on it and I presented it, and she said her clients absolutely loved it. Because I was able to provide a lot of value to Dora, since then, she's helped me a lot with Scholarpreneur. Dora's been a big help in getting Scholarpreneur off the ground. She helped me with hosting my own webinar, getting set up with technology, giving practical advice on how to grow my business, advice on other people to connect with in our industry. It's been a huge help for me. So this was how I got started. I want to give you an example of an email that you could send to a potential catalyst where you are offering value. Let's say that I have my publishing consulting business and I see that there's a big name author who's going to launch a book about weight loss. And I think, ooh, he'd be a good catalyst. So here's something I could say to him. I could say, "Dear Steve, my name is Scott. I've spent the last 10 years learning everything I can about marketing and publishing ebooks. Here is a link to my Amazon page where 12 of my books are for sale." Link to that page. "I saw that you are releasing a new book on how to lose 50 pounds in 3 months. I have some ideas on how you can market your ebook effectively. We could set up a forum for people to track their progress on exercise, sleep, and food, and general well-being. This will foster a community as well as somewhere we can direct inquirers to. We could also roll out our guest posts. Some sites that would be good would be mention a few posts or mention a few sites. I have more ideas, but this is just the general suggestion. Here's my online work to show that I have done a project like this before." Link to that project. "I will do the research, find designers, programmers, write query letters to blogs, write guest posts, everything and anything to help you make this another great seller. I would love to work with you. Would it be possible to set up a time for us to talk?" Look what I'm doing here. First, I'm establishing that I've worked in this area before. Then I'm saying, oh, here's a project that you are going to do. I can help you because I have specific experience. Then I give them specific ideas on how I can help. Then I give an offer of, would you like to talk? This is obviously going to take some time for me if Steve says yes. In a sense, I'm giving him my consulting package for free. And you might think, okay, well, you're spending this time and you're losing out on a few $100s that you could have gotten for that. But think about what I'm getting in return. Steve, let's say he's a best-selling author and he's an influencer in this niche. I'm going to work very hard. I'm going to do a fantastic job for Steve. Steve is then going to go out and recommend me to other people in his network who are also published authors. He'll recommend me to other people who might be use of my services. When I approach these people, I can say, hey, Steve referred me. And they don't know me, but they know Steve, so they're going to listen to me. And this is going to get the ball rolling. Okay, so Steve isn't paying me, so I might lose out on a couple of weeks of payment. But then once I'm done with him, right after that, I have a bunch of clients lined up. If I don't have someone like Steve's help in the beginning, it might be a long time before I get my first client, then I'm done, and then it's several weeks more before I get my second client. So this gets the process going right away. Okay, so you send this email to Steve. He has not yet agreed to be your catalyst. What do you do afterwards? How do you follow up? First, wait a few days after you send this email to them. Then, contact the catalyst, reminding him or her of the email and context of the call. Then, suggest a brief Skype call or in-person meeting. And there, if they agree to it, hash out particulars of what you are offering, then ask them to help you in your industry. So you're following up with them, seeing if you would still like to work together on this. And if they ask you, okay, why are you offering me all this stuff for free? You can just be honest and say, well, I'm starting out in this new industry and I want to connect with influencers like yourself and I just want some help in navigating the terrain. They'll get that. I mean, they'll understand that. That'll make sense to them. And they're getting a lot more from you than they would give back to you. So I think a lot of people would see that as reasonable. You can just be upfront about what you're trying to do. And I have included an email template for all these things, the previous email and then the follow-up email, in the materials that go along with this session. Okay, so how do you work with your catalyst? Let's talk about how to use your catalyst to get clients. How do you grow your client network with their help? By doing these things. So once you have engaged and secured the help of a qualified catalyst, the next step is to identify with potential clients and present them with an offering that elevates you above your competition in their minds. So you'll learn how to seek the assistance of your catalyst to identify highly qualified clients, develop an offering of value, and connect with prospective clients to present your offering. So when you meet with your catalyst, ask about organizations and individuals who meet your criteria for a good client. Then ask your catalyst on additional information about your potential client to understand the needs of this client. Then you ask the catalyst only for permission to mention their name in approaching this client, not for them to arrange the meeting. You can also offer another offering of pure value to your prospective client, such as a free 20-minute session. So once you have elevated yourself above your competitors by delivering offers of value to your prospective clients and conferred they have received your offering as valuable, your next step is to explore the opportunities to work with your prospective clients. There are 5 steps in exploring the possibility of providing your prospective clients with professional services. The first are that you engage. Engage them in a way that motivates them to begin a conversation with you, but also feel comfortable with sharing and acknowledging the issues that are important to them. This comes about by providing them with value. Then you listen. Once you earn the right to engage them, you have the right to listen to them. Because you provided them with free value, with linking to articles or things on LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever, you can move on to the free 20-minute session. You now have the opportunity to ask questions to gain knowledge and understanding from them. So you must listen actively and consciously to them during this step. Then you frame. Now you must help them to clarify and correlate the issues surrounding these problems and to identify the root cause or the core issue that must be resolved. Framing the core issue is defining the main problem in solvable terms by recognizing what matters most to your client. Then you envision. Now that you have defined the core issue, you must focus your efforts on envisioning a solution that helps your prospective client achieve the outcomes, or the goals or circumstances that they value the most. You are not focusing on solving the core issues in this step. Instead, you're focused on helping your prospective clients understand their most valued goals and outcomes so that they can consciously commit to achieving them. Lastly, commit. In this step, your goal is to ensure that your prospective client understands the effort that is necessary to solve the core issue that you identified in the previous step, and to find the determination to commit to resolving that issue. So you must prepare to express the complexities, the difficulties, and the challenges, and the risks involved with the effort with authenticity and integrity, and be upfront with them. At the conclusion of this step, you and your prospective client are ready to begin discussion about an engagement or a project to help them implement the solution. You ask them, can I send you a proposal of the clienting services that I offer? Okay, those 5 things that I mentioned were a little bit abstract. So what are the practical steps in walking through them with your client? Well, let me break this all down. First, you reach out to a client that your Catalyst referred you to, or you found online, or however else. Then you reach out to them with this email. Here are different ways you can approach them. Hi, prospective person. My name is Scott, and I run a consulting business called Publishing for Academics. I was referred to you by my Catalyst. The Catalyst recommended I reach out to you because you were working on a project that your Catalyst mentioned that line up with your services. I think this is a great project, and I have a few ideas on how you can have maximum success. I'd love to get some time on your calendar to discuss these ideas. Are you available for a 20-minute discussion on whatever date? If so, you can check out my calendar here and see what time works for you. And then there's a link to your Calendly account for the free 20-minute consultation session. I look forward to talking soon. So again, I have also included this email template in the course materials for this session. So you sent the email to them. They agreed on a 20-minute free session with you. They clicked on the link. What do you do with that 20-minute session? There are some things that you do, but here's an important thing. Spend the majority of your time listening. You don't want to just blather on and on and on and try to impress them with your words and your ideas and your strategies, but you want to spend a lot of time here listening so you can understand them perfectly. Ask a lot of questions and just listen as much as you can and never interrupt them. If you can listen 90% of the time, that's great. Talk as little as possible. One thing Dale Carnegie said is that people won't remember what you say. They will remember how you make them feel. And if you can make them feel listened to because you actually are listening to them, that'll make them like you. Now, you do want to ask a couple of precision targeted questions. And here are some things to ask in this session. First, where do you want to go? Then they'll tell you, let them take as long as they need. Then ask them, what's stopping you from getting there? Then they'll tell you their problems. And then once they're done, you can say, can I recommend a couple of things to do to help you get there? Your recommendation can be very short and very concise. It can be, I think you should publish an ebook on Amazon and print on demand, and then sell this book when you're public speaking to people. It can be something as short and simple as that. So you give them that advice, and maybe they'll have a couple of follow-up questions about that, and then answer them. And then once you're done, you say, can I send you a proposal for the services I would provide you? These are your paid consulting services you would give to someone. You might think, okay, how does that fill up 20 minutes? I can tell you, with talking with people, 20 minutes absolutely flies by. I mean, it just blows by so fast. So these questions here will be more than enough to take you through this session, and you want them to do most of the talking anyway. So you're not quite done yet. You want to give them a follow-up email once your 20-minute session is done, and here's what you say. You describe how you can help them in increasing levels. You want to give them bracketed means of engagement. Write a couple of paragraphs where the first paragraph is you give them general help, and then you give them more and more hands-on help with each paragraph. And the final few are your paid consulting services, and then your final paragraph is your high-end consulting services. So this way, they will have walked away benefiting from talking with you, even if they don't purchase anything from you. You want to leave them walking away happy, so even if they don't purchase anything, they can recommend your services to other people, and you're providing maximum value. This is the way your email can go. There can be one paragraph of general advice. Hey, we talked about this and this and this. Here are my recommended action steps going forward. Then your second paragraph could be free content, maybe saying, Here are a couple of blog posts I mentioned about this issue that you can read. Then your third paragraph is your consulting services that you recommend them purchasing. And then your fourth one maybe are your high-end consulting services where you're way more hands-on and you charge a premium. So you're giving them options on how much they want to engage with you. This is an example email that I actually wrote to someone. I changed the names and some of the specific information to protect the identity of the innocent. This is included in the course materials for this session, so you can use the context of this email as a swipe file for when you talk with people, but it follows the exact format that I described, where in each paragraph, it's talking about ascending orders of engagement. I give them some general advice, then some resources I put out, and then my client consulting packages and that they can purchase if they want to work with me some more. Okay, and I want to mention here that you don't want to be too pushy when you're trying to sell your consulting packages. Let me tell you a story of a negative example. About 10 years ago, at the end of college, I was buying a professional Canon camera because I was interested in photojournalism and I was going to do some freelance journalism, and I thought, okay, if I take some pictures, I can sell those too. So I got on the phone and I ordered a pretty high-end Canon camera. It was about $1,000. And I had to verify my order over the phone. I bought it over a website because this was 2004 and the internet wasn't as much of an efficient machine as it is now. Well, when I talked to the salesman, I just thought I was going to confirm the order and I'd be done with it. But he got really aggressive trying to upsell me and asked if I wanted a lens cleaning kit. Well, I knew that this camera came with a basic lens cleaning kit, and the thing he was trying to sell me was way over the top. I knew that what he was trying to sell me wasn't necessary, and my camera would last for years as long as I treat it right and use the basic lens cleaning kit. But he started to get really aggressive and berating me, saying, "You will destroy your camera if you don't get this. All the top photographers use this. Do you even know what you're doing? If you knew what you were doing, you would buy this." And I started to get really angry. I mean, I thought, okay, I'm not an idiot. I know what I'm doing. And I wanted to hang up on him or throw the phone against the wall. But the logical part of my brain took over and said, okay, just tell him no sternly, finish this up, because then you're just going to have to start this whole sales process all over again and finish up. But the point being is that he didn't help close the deal. He made me upset. If he were in a position where he were offering services to me, I wouldn't recommend this person to anyone. In fact, I would tell people to stay away from him. He just went about it the exact wrong way. So the point is, being pushy and aggressive is not going to win you over. Even if you can convert a couple of squeamish people who are on the fence to buying from you, they're not going to recommend you to others. So even if someone doesn't get your consulting package, if you leave them feeling good, they can be your salesman to other people, and that's how you can extend your reach. Okay, we covered a lot of material in this session, so I want to go over some action steps, what to do to follow up with these. First of all, put up a service page on your website with prices and make sure to have a link to that free consultation session. Get a Calendly account, make your calendar available so you can direct people, whether you're a potential catalyst, potential clients, or whomever else, to those free sessions. Next, send out that email to 50 friends and family announcing that you have a consulting business. I have an email template for this in the materials for this session. That way people know that you have a consulting business up and running, you have services you can offer to people, and your friends and family, who will probably be your strongest early advocates, will already go out there and put the word out there for you. And thirdly, approach 3 catalysts with an offer of value. You might get shut down once or twice. That's why I recommended searching for 3 or 4 catalysts who meet your criteria of being a good catalyst. So go out there, think of an offer of value following the template that I gave you, and give it to them. These are the resources for the session, just to go over it one more time. I included email for friends and family announcing your business, a template email that you would send to your catalyst, then your first email to a client lead, and a template for a follow-up email to a client after your 20-minute consultation. If you follow these steps, you will have snagged a client. They will have purchased your services, and you've made money on your consulting business. But that's not the end of it, because then there are other questions that come afterwards, like, what do you do after you have a client? How do you engage with them? How do you set up the terms of engagement? How do you make it clear that There's no unrealistic expectations on either side. How do you consult them? How do you lead a consulting session? What do you do during your consulting session? What do you provide them once you're all done? How do you make them happy? How do you make them happy that they have purchased from you? We're going to go over all those things really specifically in the next session. So we're going to wrap up right there, and let's close out like we always do with questions. So do you have any questions about any of the things that we've covered?